Good evening and welcome to the studios of ABS Television. This is a very special edition of ABS TV Presents. I am Ursil Charles Jr. Thank you for joining us whether on air or online this evening. In our studios with us live, we have the privilege of helping the Antigua Barbuda National Accreditation Board celebrate their 20th anniversary. They were enacted just about the time that I was born, and we're very happy to have them in the studios to help celebrate and commemorate and, of course, the pursuit of quality education, not only in Antigua Barbuda, but across the world, as those students, whether working or otherwise, pursue mainly tertiary level education inside and outside of this country. Joining us this evening, an august panel. To my immediate right, and no stranger to the studios of ABS TV, we have Madam Sharon Clifton Kelsick. She's Executive Director of the Antigua Barbuda National Accreditation Board. A very nice wide shot of my guest there on the screen. To her left, we've got Perlita Walters Gillam. She's a principal consultant at NBBE Consulting. And to my extreme right, Mr. Curtis Floyd. He is the Executive Director of the Accreditation Council of Trinidad and Tobago. Good evening to all of you. Welcome
Hello.
to ABS.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And congratulations to Abnab.
Thank you.
Very welcome. I heard you laugh when I said we were about the same age. I wonder why. But let's get into a special discussion. Let's talk about accreditation generally, because the big question we're asking is, why is this program so important? Why are we celebrating the 20th anniversary? Why is the board so important? Why is accreditation itself so important?
Accreditation ensures quality. So it is just as we would have, for example, you have a restaurant and you have persons coming to check for quality of the food and all of that. The accreditation board that's our role within academics, tertiary education. So we ensure that there's quality within our colleges, our universities, our post-secondary education institutions. Nationally, it is really important for us because of the thrust towards tertiary education. The government has, over the last couple of years, and it's renewed that commitment to ensuring that there is at least one university graduate in every household in Antigua and Barbuda. And so the board becomes even more important because we want to ensure that the education that is offered locally is of quality and it can stand against regional and international competition, but also to ensure that our students who go overseas, that they too are going to schools that are of quality.
And Anna Montes Gillam, let's come to you in terms of the same question.
Sure. From the international perspective, I work within the US, the Caribbean, and across the globe. And the most critical value added for accreditation is global competitiveness. And many institutions internationally may not consider students for enrollment if they're not coming from an accredited institution. And that's key. So that will definitely strengthen the country's thrust of preparing students, not just for Antigua, but also for global competition.
And Mr. Floyd, your thoughts?
Yes, well, I will speak on the regional perspective. Of course, Antigua Barbuda is the local accrediting body for this country. And we have regional bodies. It's important for us to network with each other so that there is transferability and acceptability of the qualifications that would be obtained in each of the regions. And there is also the other side where we network to ward off any diploma mills that may be wanting to come into the countries. Yeah, because lots of diploma mills exist outside there, and they see the region, the Caribbean region, as a nesting ground for them to come in and invade and take advantage of the population that exists here. So.
Yeah, and pretty much steal our hard-earned money. Well,
yes, exactly.
So let's talk then about the actual process. The accreditation process, what does that look like so that we can ensure the quality and the accreditation that we've been referring to?
So from our end nationally, and I'm sure Curtis will have a little bit more experience and Polito, but we are just developing our accreditation standards. So what we have been doing, or what we've been focused on for the past 20 years, is registration, which is basically a kind of a licensing. You have to be registered to be able to function locally. It is illegal for any tertiary institution, any post-secondary institution, to function, to have students if they're not registered with the board. So that's what we have been focused on over the past 20 years. We're hoping that for the next 50 years that we're in existence, we started the work of expanding our services to ensure that we are able to offer accreditation to our institutions. But just even from our registration process, what that looks like, it's looking at the curriculum for the schools. What do you offer? What is your content? What is the content like? Is it relevant? We're also looking at the staffing. Is your staff qualified to teach at the level that they're teaching at? So for example, if you're teaching and your school offers associate degrees, your staff should at least have a bachelor's degree, so we want up. So those are some of the things that we look at in terms of the process.
So accreditation is an external validation of quality by a very basic definition. And so with the implementation of the process, you're asking an external set of eyes, so to speak, to review quality at the institutional level. That will include individuals outside of those institutions to provide an internal perspective on established standards. And so I've been working with ABNAB over the last year to develop those standards, consult with stakeholders to identify the critical components for an institution in Antigua and Bermuda to demonstrate quality, right? And so with that external perspective and feedback, it's because you're only as good as whoever says you're good. And so you can't say you're a quality institution if you haven't been externally validated as such. And so that's what really the process would include, is external validation of the operations, the academic activities. Student experience is a big one, right? You can't treat students anyhow on a campus. The facilities, the resources available, and one critical area for ABNAB that we were very intentional about is sustainability. You may have heard of schools closing, yes, unexpectedly, and students left high and dry. We're very intentional about making sure that there's some kind of framework and guardrails about that.
Mr. Floyd, from your perspective.
And I endorse what my colleague said with regard to accreditation process being external validation process. And particularly when it comes to the institutional accreditation of the institutions, particularly like the universities and colleges operating in the country, we have trained external evaluators who are experts in their various fields, and these are persons who would come in and form part of the panel to do the external evaluation. So, for example, like back home at the University of the West Indies, or one of the other universities that we have in Trinidad, we would have local members on the team. We would also have regional persons, because of course they would provide that context to the evaluation process. And we also would engage international experts. So it gives that sort of recognition and validation to the accreditation process and the decisions and status that would be awarded to the institution. And it also gives the assurance to the students who would be pursuing programs at these institutions that this is something that is worth pursuing, and it's something that will be accepted internationally.
Going back to something Mrs. Celtic said about being licensed, so is it possible for an institution to be licensed or registered or even accredited in one country, but its qualifications not be recognized or accepted in another country, so to speak?
That is possible,
Yes.
because
Yes.
if the agency themselves have to be quality assured.
Okay.
So quality assurance isn't just for the institution, but even the agency has to go through its own internal and external quality assurance. So for example, I think it was last year we would have put out a notice to say that we didn't recognize a particular school because the agency that accredits that school isn't one that we recognize, because they didn't go through that quality assurance internationally that we would expect. And so that can happen, but that's why it's important to, like Curtis said, to have that connection and that partnership regionally and also internationally, so that you're working within networks that can help to protect you from that happening.
I basically asked that because in research universities, for my own personal benefit, I would have read perhaps in the US and perhaps Ms. Gillam can talk more about this, I would see that there's regional accreditation and there's national accreditation, and
Right.
so there's this divide. Can you
Right.
speak to that, perhaps?
Sure, and that changed actually.
Okay,
The federal
good.
government changed this, so now it's just institutional accreditation.
Great.
For that very reason, because what is the difference if they're both recognized by the federal government? In this Caribbean context, so there's CANCATE, which is the regional network, and so ACTT is a member of that, ABNAB is. So there's almost this mutual respect for and deference to the quality assurance within that country, so that ACCT or institutions in Trinidad will respect or honor the credentials earned at an ABNAB accredited institution. And so that's how that collaboration works within the region and internationally.
No, well, that certainly makes it easier.
Yes,
And
exactly.
as we were talking about quality assurance, when we talk about external validation, I thought of auditing, and external
Right.
and internal auditing.
Right.
Is there anything that an institution can do to perhaps boost its own internal accreditation processes to raise its own standards?
Oh yes, definitely.
Tell us about it. Yes.
So yesterday we met with the institutions as part of the anniversary celebration, and we're very intentional again about communicating to the institution. This is not about auditing. We're not trying to catch you doing something wrong. The intent is for continuous improvement. And so we talked about assessment, sustainability in higher education, greening your campus, and being mindful of the environmental challenges that we face as the world, as the earth. And so having the institutions participate in quality assurance is the whole idea of vinegar versus honey, right? And so we're trying to have them be partners with them in quality assurance and supporting them to ensure that they're able to meet the standards. So we don't say you have to employ 10 faculty members. That's not the intent, because one institution, the size, the context, the population, the demographics will differ. We are more concerned about, do you have the resources, services, policies to support your mission and the students you serve? So that's why it's more or less auditing and more quality assurance and improvement.
All right, so we are scheduled to take 2 breaks, but before we take our very first one, because time flies now, believe it or not, when you're on this program, let's talk about the importance for persons' hard-earned money, because we said it at the start. Perhaps from an academic perspective, you can tell me about accreditation, but from a student perspective, I just want to make sure that my investment is secure and that I get value for my money, and my degree is worth something. Let's just comment on that and the importance of making sure that these quality assurance checks are done, so to speak, so that you preserve and maintain a person's bank account.
I think from that perspective, I look at quality assurance less as Polita says, trying to catch you doing something wrong, and more towards national development. Because if we have institutions that are of quality, it means that we are preparing our young people to serve the Antiguan and Barbudan community, to serve the regional communities, and of course we know we exist within a global community. And so we want that when the government, as they would have said, you get free education at ABCAS, you get free education at UWI, you may not pay for it out of your pocket, but somebody's paying for it. Your parents are paying taxes. I am paying taxes. You are paying taxes.
Oh, yes, I am.
You're paying taxes. And as much as the education may be free, there's still things that will cost you. You have to find transportation to get to school. You have to buy your textbooks. There are projects that you have to do. You're going to have to spend money. Education is expensive. So for Antigua and Barbuda, for our government and for you personally, you don't want to invest all that time, that money, and let me tell you, time is even worth more than money.
Precisely.
Because I spent 4 years, sleepless nights, doing assignments, working in group that I know people probably don't want to work with.
Hallelujah.
And doing all of these things just for somebody to tell me that my degree is worth nothing.
Yes.
And so when you talk about investment, we're not just talking about investment in your personal funds, but investment as a nation. We are investing in education, and we want to ensure that the education we invest in can help to push Antigua and Barbuda forward.
From Trinidad's perspective, Mr. Ford, tell us about that, because certainly students in Trinidad must want to protect their hard-earned TT dollars as well.
Of course, of course. And one of the things that I want to add to the conversation here is, apart from the institutional accreditation, you also want to ensure that the program itself has accredited status. We have several instances where we have persons applying. One of the services that we offer in Trinidad is a statement on recognition, and which speaks to the accreditation status of the institution as well as the program. And there are instances where the institution would be accredited, but the program is not recognized. because the program, for one reason or the other, would not have met the quality standards, probably in instances, for example, by a specialized accrediting body. The institution would not have met the programmatic accreditation. And so it works to the disadvantage of the students who would be pursuing that program. So what we encourage students to do is to come to check ACTT first. Find out about the program, find out about the institution. We have an online compendium which lists all the institutions and the programs that we have recognized them to offer. Yes, because several times we find students pursuing programs, especially online degrees and all of that, and they come to us afterwards to find out if this is something that is recognized because they're looking for some employment or promotion, as the case may be. And it's really hurtful to see students getting a statement of non-recognition. Yeah.
Is there a recourse though for the student, or do you say you should have come to us first?
Yeah.
There's no recourse. Once the money is spent and the degree is completed, there's really no recourse. And that has happened to, I know of persons that has happened to. They're looking for their promotions, and we have to unfortunately write to the department to let them know that this school was not accredited, the degree is not accredited, so it's not recognized by us. And more often than not, though it's up to the employer, but more often than not, if it's not accredited, they're not going to honor the degree.
And that's why, too, we try to involve students. We are trying to involve students in the process. Here, regionally, internationally, in the U.S., most students don't understand what accreditation is. And so the assumption is that if the school is open and offering programs, it's a quality school. And so you find out after the fact it's not when it's too late. So that's why we want to educate students and parents and those spending those money to understand what accreditation is and how to find out and validate the accreditation status of institutions beforehand.
And from my experience, very quickly, we have instances where, as I mentioned, students would pursue program at a particular institution. Now, the institution must be quality assured by us, registered or accredited, in order to operate. And what we have found happening is that some institutions would establish initial contact with us and project it to the students that they're in communication with the accreditation council, so you know you're good. Only to find out afterwards that they have not completed the process, they have not been awarded any status. And what we have found in one or two instances, because the students were considered as being deceived, they took it up privately with their attorneys.
So the recourse is to go to the courts, I guess,
Yes, exactly.
in those instances.
Exactly.
All right, so much more to discuss here as we continue to celebrate but unpack a lot of the issues around accreditation and quality assurance. Let's take our very first break of the evening. Now we're back with the good folks from the Antigua Barbuda National Accreditation Board, NVB Consulting, and of course the Accreditation Council of Trinidad and Tobago. We'll see you after these messages.
All right. What time is it? 8:30. Wow.
This summer, the Caribbean's premier music experience returns. Welcome to the 28th edition of the St. Kitts Music Festival, featuring the incredible Kilani, Fantasia, Beres Hammond, Luciano, Soca King Marshall Montano, Soca Sensation Voice, and Vaughn. Dancehall giant Movado, Idonia, and the new wave, Valiant. Also featuring Massacre, Cranium, Taurus Riley, Steel Pulse, Dean Fraser and the Black Soil Band, Shanil Mir, Diani, Rodney Tatat, and Zoo. The legendary New Vibes Band International, Brandon and ASAP Band, Shelly and Signal Band, plus Edwin Yearwood and Crossfire, Lucas HE, and Garlic and the Upper Level Band. June 25th to June 27th, Warner Park Cricket Stadium, St. Kitts. Get your tickets now at stkittsmusicfestival.com. The St. Kitts Music Festival, where music meets paradise.
ACB, drive to 70. With ACB, we know be white SUV.
It's been 70 years, let's celebrate.
Our legacy strong, our future's great, yeah, yeah.
Every loan, every tap that you do brings that BYD SUV closer to you.
Drive to 70, then we celebrate. ACB strong, the future great. Drive to 70, keep the party
loan you take, every tap you make.
Yes, each one gives you more chances to win.
The prize? A brand new BYD SUV. 70 years strong, take a victory ride.
Drive to 70, keep the party alive. Come in our SUV and take the champion drive.
Terms and conditions apply. Antigua, are you ready to feel the rhythm? The ultimate breakfast fed experience is back, and we're celebrating 10 years strong. Good morning, the inclusive 10. Not just a fed, it's an experience. More than 10 food stalls, more than 10 drink stations, premium vibes, premium service every single time. The lineup: Nadia Batson and her full band, Tian Winter and Iconic, Claudette C.P. Peters and Disturbance Band, Adamo, 3-Cylinder Band, Caution Band, Shelly and the Signal Band. Plus other surprise artists. Sunday, July 26, 2026 at Coolidge Cricket Ground, 4 a.m. to noon. Tickets now $375 until May 31st, then $450. So don't wait. Group special: 10 or more persons, $300 each until slots last. Call 726-1006 or 764-7311. Get yours now at Cutting Edge, Exotic Antigua, Roti King, M&M Service Station, The Ladder, Honeymotos, or online at the ticketing app. No gate sales, limited capacity. Good morning, the inclusive 10.
Welcome to Antigua Mars. These people have no behavior, they have no behavior. Welcome to Antigua Mars. Clear out how you know it's danger, how you know it's danger. When it comes to Mars, it's my deadly. We don't know love can develop so badly. Can't get enough. Welcome to Antigua Mars. These people have no behavior, they have no behavior. Them can't hold me back when the iron man push out. Rhythm in your soul, something I can live without. What I sweat out, resentment in.
Welcome back to ABS TV Presents. We're continuing the conversation about quality assurance and how we can, of course, assure and ensure that there's quality in tertiary education, whether at home or abroad, whatever institution you choose to study at. And we're sitting with representation from the Antigua Barbuda National Accreditation Board, the Accreditation Council in Trinidad and Tobago, as well as NVBE Consulting in the United States of America. Now, we made mention of degree mills. You know, in this segment, try to explore what those are and how we can help you to avoid them. Mrs. Kelsey, let's start with you in terms of your definition of a degree mill. I think of flour mills, but I'm sure you can tell me what that means.
So a degree mill is really a university that is not a university. They present like a university. The language is very similar to a university. The coursework might look like a university, but it's not accredited. There's no quality assurance process in place at all. So that's really what a degree mill is.
A degree that's not really a university.
Yeah, but also to take it one step further,
Yes.
the mill part is that the degree mill is that they're pushing out degrees.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so that's part of doing a degree mill. Like you can get a degree in 3 months. That's a degree mill.
Yes.
Sounds exciting. Sounds enticing.
And they're very, very enticing.
Very enticing.
Exactly,
Yes.
because they would mimic the names
Right.
and the look of some of the reputable institutions.
The coursework.
And yes, but one of the main differences is that they offer you where you can get it quick and easy. Some of them even advertise, if you want a bachelor's degree, you pay so much. If you want a master's degree, you pay this amount. You get up, and they would even email it to you. They would email the certificate to you.
The diploma.
Yeah.
We have something that, part of the training that we do with degree mills, we have a little video that we would show where a dog was able to get a degree. Yeah?
Must be Lassie.
Easiest.
I think that comes from because they don't exist just because. There's obviously a
Demand for it.
market for it.
Yes.
And that comes from people wanting things. You know, people generally say we're the microwave generation. We want it and we want it now. So if a school is promising you a PhD in a year and a half, you should probably think that is not a legitimate school. A bachelor's degree in 6 months, it's not a legitimate school, or you really have to do some serious research before you decide to pursue those institutions.
Apart from the timing issue and of course the short time at which you can get a degree or qualifications from the degree mills, what are some of the other warning signs we should look out for when we are researching, higher education?
They're often online schools.
And then another big one is what you should always do, especially if you can externally, or even as we talk through Antigua's context, but look at the About Us tab on their website, or do a search for accreditation on their website. They should have, most institutions that are reputable would have information about their accreditation status. We are accredited by ACTTE, for example. If an institution doesn't have anything about accreditation on their website, that's one. Or if there's a statement that says accreditation is voluntary and not required, and as such we believe in the quality of our institution and we did not participate, that's two. Or they identify an accrediting body that sounds suspicious, like the International Agency of something. So do a follow-up research on that particular agency, because you're able to, we could set up another agency right now, so it's just another business, another corporation. So even the agencies themselves, I know of instances where founders of diploma mills also form accrediting bodies.
And that is, and I wanted to drill down a little more on that, because that is one of the peculiar things about them too. Because they cannot meet the standards of the legitimate accrediting bodies, they do the accrediting themselves. And some of them even present themselves as being accredited by 10 and 12 and 15 different accrediting bodies. But when you check them, none of them are legitimate bodies, none of them are recognized. Right? But the unsuspecting member of the public will look at this and say, wow, this is a fantastic, university, They have accrediting by 10 different bodies, they have to be good. And we have some of these bodies who also want to affiliate themselves with legitimate bodies. Because, for example, in CanKate, we have a few of these bodies from time to time would approach us, and they want to have some sort of affiliation with CanKate, which is the Caribbean area network of quality assurance bodies in the Caribbean. We have had it even at ACTT, where some of them are approaching us and they want to form some alliance with us.
An MOU.
Yes.
And what you find sometimes is these
to give themselves some sort of legitimacy.
They do that, and they sometimes they go to accrediting bodies outside of their locale. So what we have found is, for example, I was giving you an example of an institution that we don't recognize because the accrediting body, so it's in the United States, but it's accredited in the UK. But the accrediting body that accredited in the UK is really only doing accreditations for visas and that kind of thing. So you really have to do your research. And what we found with the diploma mills, as I said, they're often online. There's often no address, no physical address. Or if they do put it and then you go searching for it, you can't find anything. It's hard to get them via email, via telephone. So they often try to send you emails, and that's how they maintain their communication. So you have to look at all of those things think about all of those things when you're looking at diploma mills.
Sounds like a lot of work, but it sounds like we should let you do the work for us.
Yeah, so that's why we say come to us first.
And by the way, can you just tell them what the rates are? Because although they've increased, they're still very nominal.
Yes, so it's $150 to do a verification on an institution or an accreditation status check. To do an equivalency, it's $200. And as you say, it's nominal because in order for us to maintain our quality, we have to be a part of, we have to maintain membership in international and regional organizations. So we are members of CanKate, which is our regional organization. We are members of INCAHE, which is international, and we also have access to an international database out of the UK called UK ENIC, and it is not very cheap maintaining those membership. So we do had to increase our fees, but again, as you said, it is very nominal. $150 compared to spending $10,000 studying at an institution that is not accredited.
Or more.
There's really no comparison.
And we didn't even mention the opportunity cost earlier, because there are lots of other things you could be doing with your time, but you spent your 4 years studying, and that of course is added to the cost. 150 EC is 300 TT, and I'm sure they charge more in Trinidad. So, Mrs. Gassip, you're good. You're good. Am I right, Mr. Floyd?
No comment.
No comment. Let's ask this question about employers, because as we're talking about the degree mills, I'm an employer, I have staff, I suspect that they have been at work doing this degree, but this doesn't sound legitimate. If I have an employee who is up for promotion, for example, what's my recourse here? How do I go about ensuring, or do I come to you at ABNAP?
Yes, you can. And one of the things that we have noticed is there's not a lot of consideration given for doing those checks and verifications within our community. I guess because we now starting to have the conversations, then employers know that this is something that they should look for. I must say though, there are some employers locally that have been very good at reaching out to us just to find out if the school or if the program that is being done is accredited. But it's important to know, because if I present a degree, then what I'm saying is I have the knowledge, I have the skills to do the job. But if it's from an institution that has not been quality assured, how do I know that there is synergy between what you would have learned and what I need on my job side? So it's always good to do the checks as well if you're going to give promotions.
All right, let's get into the deep discussion now about harmonizing education on a regional scale. I know that one of the things that you do, of course, is to make sure that we ensure that there's quality assurance in the qualifications, particularly for the CARICOM Skills Certificate. I know you, Mr. Floyd, particularly want to talk about that. Talk us through that.
So the CARICOM Skills Certificate, oh my gosh, what it does is it allows persons from within the region to travel and work within, so I could go to Trinidad. I do have my skills certificate, so I can go to Trinidad. So Mr. Floyd, if you want to coach me, I mean, I'm just saying. But
You have to work on a Trini accent. But,
I have to work on the Trini accent. No, I don't think Abna would let me go so easy. But if I wanted to go to Trinidad, I could go with my skills certificate. Now, one of the categories for obtaining a skills certificate is having a graduate degree. We go, you can have an associate degree, a bachelor's, going up the line. Now, if you do not get your degree from a recognized institution, it prevents you from getting that skills certificate using within that category as a university graduate. So we have seen, and I think I've mentioned it before in other public forums, that we have had persons locally who would have attempted to get a CARICOM skills certificate but could not because the institution that they attended locally was not registered with ABNAB. And I know Mr. Floyd would have probably seen the same thing in Trinidad.
Yes, we have one of our directors, the Director of Qualification and Recognition. She is also the representative on the CSME committee. And yes, there would be several instances where certificates would be reviewed by us, and we would encounter problems or issues with them.
So is it in Antigua Barbuda, Mr. Kelty, explain it to us that in applying that the Ministry of Labour, Department of Labour liaises with you to ensure that this is correct before giving that stamp in your passport? How does that process?
So we sit as we sit as ABNAB as a member of the Free Movement Committee. So I represent ABNAB on the Free Movement Committee, and we have to do our checks and balances. So part of the process of applying for a CSME skill certificate in Antigua is getting your degree verified by the accreditation board. So you get all your paperwork, and part of that is you come to us, you bring your certificate, you bring your degrees, and we have to do our research and send that report to the Labour Department to determine whether the degree is from an accredited institution. And we have to take, it's something that we have to take very seriously, because what you do is, there are opportunities that people will have. I mean, as much as we want everybody to stay in Antigua and work in Antigua, the reality is persons want to explore life outside of probably where you were born, where you grew up. And not only that, based on the industry that you work in, you may find better opportunities outside of Antigua. And if we risk preventing persons from taking up those opportunities when we don't do our due diligence as an agency, and when our institutions don't do their due diligence. And the main crux of the push towards getting accreditation councils in all the Caribbean countries, because that was a CARICOM mandate, that we develop councils within the various countries. It's so that we can standardize tertiary education, we can enhance quality of tertiary education, to allow our people to move in that way. And so when we don't do our due diligence, we rob persons of the opportunity to explore life outside of the countries that they were born, where they were born. And that is something that we do have to take very seriously.
It's very sad to know that I can be working as a professional for 20 years with a degree I earned 20 years ago, and then to find out 20 years later, after I wanted to move to Trinidad or Grenada or wherever, that this degree is not worth the paper it's on.
There are persons who have degree certificates that they earned 15 years ago, and they cannot. And the fact is, not everybody would go on to get a bachelor's degree. That's just the reality. And one of the reasons for the community saying that we would take the associate's degrees, because you want to give everybody as much as possible an opportunity to seek out those opportunities outside of their country. But even at that level, you're having the issues where I may have studied at my local institution, but because 10 years ago when I studied at my local institution, they were not registered with the existing accreditation body, then I cannot benefit from that. And that is, for me, as a citizen of Antigua and Barbuda and a citizen of CARICOM, that is a slap in the face.
Yep.
And it is an indictment not just on the institution, but on the agency as well, because again, it is a partnership. It's not us trying to catch them doing something, but it's us saying let's work together to ensure that our people can benefit from all of these opportunities.
A UNDP report came out, I think it was a month ago, to say that a third of every person in Latin America and the Caribbean intends to move out of their country in the next 3 years. People don't want to move not only across the region, but internationally. I mean, want to move to the US, to Canada, to the UK. Well, the US kind of off the table for now. But if we want to do, we're willing to do that, what is in place, or is it dependent on the recruiter in the foreign country to determine whether or not the degree, the qualification that we have is accredited, certified, or would they, of course, liaise with the National Accreditation Board here?
They would have to determine that.
Yeah, they would. Yeah.
So they reach out to us and see if it's accredited. But then that's why we are doing the work that we're doing
Exactly.
now, so that we can ensure that as an agency, we are working with our institutions. It is a partnership.
Right.
It is not I'm holding the hammer over your head and this is what you need to do. And that's why I was so happy we had the conversations that we had yesterday
with the
our institutions, so that they understand that although we are regulatory, yes, but we are working together to ensure that you meet the standards and we do our work. Because if we allow them to lapse, it's an indictment on our agency as well, not just on the schools. And so we have to ensure that we do the work so that when our people go overseas, because we have had schools send back to ask if the degrees, especially in Canada, it happens a lot in Canada, they would send back to say if the degree is from an accredited institution, because the student wants to begin studies at an institution in Canada. So they, especially out of Canada, we get those requests a lot.
So two things too. Yes. Yesterday, one of the institutions shared this, and I'm familiar with that, where she mentioned that in Canada, met with an institution very excited to have a relationship with an institution here. All the way almost willing to send students from Canada to Antigua and Bermuda to study. And then the institution in Canada found out they're not accredited, and they pulled back, right? And so the accreditation here will then bolster or demonstrate externally about the quality of the institutions here. That's one. And two, you mentioned the US, you have to back up a little bit on the US. Similarly in Canada, it's similar. And even so, the expense of Europe. And so what we've been talking about with the institutions is, well, if our students here in Antigua and Bermuda are unable to right now in the near future travel externally, let the institutions here be comparable in quality and outcomes for our students. And that accreditation helps facilitate that, because Canada is not an option, America is not an option for the visa issues. You go into the UK, is too expensive. Well, the UE here and Metropolitan and APCAS and AUA, all of them, they're comparable. And that's what we're hoping that the accreditation does here, is demonstrate we are just as of high quality as these institutions externally.
Again, just to add to our experience with that, and we would be familiar with this, that some of our students would pursue qualifications here and they want to probably do a higher level abroad, but in the matriculation, they realize that they need to do some additional courses to be able to qualify to move into the higher level. And this is where the accreditation comes in, because we would have encountered that over the years too, with some of the bodies that we are working with outside in the UK and in the US. And we had to insist, that we want our students down here to be exposed to the same quality that you are giving your students up there, so that they have equal opportunity to transition into employment or into higher level studies. And over the years, we have been able to work the kinks and work that out. So now it's a smooth transition. And that's why it's important to maintain the relationship. That's why it's important to maintain the dialogue and to have these agreements where there is mutual recognition and acceptability of the qualifications coming out of the Caribbean.
That's right.
All right. So conversation continues after this, our final break. We've got only about 10 minutes to go on this program, but we will be back with you to continue to explore the issues of quality assurance and accreditation when we return. If you plan to stay at home during a hurricane, there are things you can do to protect yourself. Monitor local radio and/or television stations for weather reports. Stay indoors until the impact is over. Stay away from glass windows and exterior doors. Evacuate to a neighbor's home or shelter if your home is damaged or if emergency personnel instruct you to do so. This message is brought to you by the Antigua Barbuda Broadcasting Services. For more information on hurricane preparedness, contact the National Office of Disaster Services at 462-4206.
Antigua and Barbuda will be at the center of global business this November. For the first time in its history, the country will host the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, CHOGM. A key part of those discussions will be the Commonwealth Business Forum. It will be hosted by the Commonwealth Secretariat in partnership with the government of Antigua and Barbuda and the Commonwealth Enterprise and Investment Council, CIWIC.
The road to CHOGM will therefore focus on new initiatives for high-impact investments, building deeper trade and investment partnerships.
A lot of business people will come to our country and they will share technological developments, they will share investment opportunities, and we certainly want to make sure that our local business people are at the table.
Decision makers and thought leaders in business will converge on Antigua for this blockbuster event. Local businesses will get their chance to network and explore cutting-edge partnerships to take their enterprises to the world. The sub-region will also be engaged as the forum will feature the Investment Summit with a participation from the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union. Find out how you and your business can be a part of the Commonwealth Business Forum from November 2 to 4, 2026. Contact the planning office today at 464-5113. The Commonwealth Business Forum will be game-changing. Be a part of it.
The FIFA World Cup is coming, and all eyes are on Laminia Mall.
You like it?
Good times don't just happen. They're planned. The food, the drinks, the moments we share. From beach days to big limes with friends. Anjo Wholesale has everything you need to keep the vibe going. Anjo Wholesale, delivering quality products since 1890. For every moment worth celebrating.
Welcome back to ABS TV Presents. We are wrapping the conversation on quality assurance and accreditation as the Antigua Barbuda National Accreditation Board celebrates its 20th anniversary. It's on the verge of adulthood. And so we're going to be asking in the next 6 minutes, 6 rapid-fire questions, and I want each of you to get your responses to each of these. Okay?
All right.
Okay.
So a minute for each question, so we're looking at about 3 into a minute goes what? 20 seconds for each response. Let's get you start off the batting. What should Caribbean institutions do to ensure their programs remain respected internationally?
Work with your accreditation councils.
Get accredited.
Yes, and that.
I said 20 seconds, not 2 seconds. Give me a little more.
Work with your accreditation councils. As we said, it's a partnership. This quality assurance is a partnership between the institution and the agency. And so if you want to have your quality, if you want to be able to compete internationally, work with your local institution. Ask them, okay, where did I falter? the last visit, or how can I improve, or do workshops. And agencies tend to offer workshops. They tend to do all of that. So attend the workshops, have the conversations with your agency.
Gilliam, what's yours?
I would say benchmark with other programs. Look at the business community, see what the program looks like, what their employers are looking for, internationally and regionally too, to see that the program is at a caliber that can be recognized regionally and internationally.
Mr. Floyd.
And I think that I would look at it from the perspective of specialized accreditation, because there would be specialized bodies locally and regionally and internationally for certain types of programs. And I would want to advocate, for having a relationship with these bodies and ensuring that the programs meet their standards as well.
All right. Let's switch it up. So, Ms. Gilliam, we'll start with you. Next question. You look very, very suspicious of me. What should a student be especially careful to check before enrolling in an overseas program?
Their accreditation. I strongly advise about looking at their website. They should have a public-facing website with an accreditation status on that website. If you don't see it, it's not accredited.
Mr. Floyd?
Again, I would advocate for checking with your local accrediting body.
That
is why they were established. That is why they were established, and they have the relationship and have access to information that the common person on the street may not have access to. So verify the information with your local accrediting body.
Mrs. Kelsey.
And I would agree, because as he said, sometimes you do see that they're accredited, but is the agency that they're accredited by a legitimate agency?
Right.
And that information you probably would only get through your local agency. So check with ABNAB, check with ACTT.
Yeah, we're promoting ABNAB tonight. All right. Mr. Floyd, your question, no time to start with you. So this is easy, where can the public verify whether an institution or program is accredited?
Well, at ACTT, as I mentioned earlier on, we have our compendium of recognized institutions and programs, even in terms of some of the foreign awarding bodies that we have recognized, international bodies, ACCA and some of these others. So we have this information on our website, so you can check the website. If you don't see the information that you need there, you are free to call us, because from time to time the information will be updated according to the status.
Ms. Kelsey.
Check ABNAB. Send us an email. We are almost done with the building of our website, so we will soon be able to have that information. But until then, send us an email, abnab@ab.gov.ag, and we will do the work for you.
Mrs. Gilliam.
What she just said.
Check ABNAB.
She's good people.
Yeah, no, she's a PR person. What advice, Ms. Kelsey, to start with you, what advice would you give a parent whose child is considering an overseas online university? Ask a different way, but what's the advice for a parent? Because as you say, parent and child, the parent is the one who's spending the money here. So that's important.
Have a conversation. We do offer career advising. And so if they want to reach out to us to sit with the child, to sit with the parent, to find the school that is best suited for the child, and for the parent as well, in terms of what you can afford financially, that is something that you can reach out to us. We will try and sit with you, work out something with you to advise you best how to move forward.
And I would say also, you mentioned online, but there's also the case for physical institutions that may not be reputable internationally, and the embassies look at that. So for when you go for student visas, I had the opportunity to work with someone who worked at an embassy, and she said when students show up looking for a visa to go attend a school in ABC University, they actually check to see that the school is a reputable school themselves to award the visa. So it's not just for online, it's also for when you send your child overseas to study. In addition to working with ABNAB, do your research. Everyone has a smartphone.
Yeah.
So do your research, do your due diligence in looking up the information about the institution.
Yeah. I would encourage parents to educate themselves. Part of what we do in terms of educating the public is have public notices, we have workshops, we have seminars, webinars where persons are educated about accessing quality education and being wary of the diploma mills that we spoke of previously.
All right, final question. What is the single most important thing a person should do before investing in further education? If it's a check ABNAB. That's what they're going to say, isn't it?
That's exactly what. But no, do you figure out? I think knowing what you want is important. Knowing what you want to do, what career you want to pursue. Don't just pick a school because it's a popular school, but figure out what it is that you want, because there are lots of reputable schools out there, other than the maybe 10 we know that is very, very popular, like the Harvards and the Howard Universities. There are some other schools out there that are really reputable. The content is really good. So know what you want, and once you know what you want, then you start looking for a school that matches your needs. Because if you start doing it the other way, just start looking for schools, then you might find yourself fitting into something that is really not what you want. So figure out what your needs are as a student, and then find a school that matches your needs.
An accredited school.
An accredited school.
That matches that.
And if it looks too good, it's probably too good to be true.
Wow. And that means not only the program, but the cost of the program.
The process, exactly. The time, the cost, and the exactly. Looks too good to me.
And again, I mentioned earlier on in terms of one of the services that we offer is a statement on recognition, which speaks to the status of the institution as well as the program, and it's pretty affordable. So you can pursue that, you know, so that you have documented evidence, you know, to speak to the quality of the program as well as the institution.
All right, well, as Abnabi celebrates this 20th anniversary, Ms. Kelsey, I'll leave the final word to you in terms of your general advice to students, the public, employers, etc. Our final word.
I think again, I would iterate: just know what you want, know where you want to go, figure out what your needs are as a student, and reach out to us. We are ready and willing to assist, because we want to ensure that when our students go out there, they are getting quality. And so we just encourage our students to reach out, encourage our parents to reach out to us as well. As a body, we are, just as Ursula said, we are coming into adulthood, and so we are doing a lot of work at the accreditation board to ensure that we can serve our community well. And so please don't be afraid to reach out to us, do your due diligence, so that when you invest, it is an investment that will be worth it.
All right, so thank you very much to my guests for joining us this evening. We really enjoyed this conversation. And so we want to say thanks to the Executive Director of the Antigua Barbuda National Accreditation Board, Madam Sharon Clifton Kelsig. I spoke to her earlier. She wears so many hats, but wearing the ABNAB hat this evening. We've also got with us Perlita Walters-Gilliam. She, of course, a principal consultant at NBBE Consulting in the U.S. And Mr. Curtis. It's Mr., right? I was going to say doctor. Sounds good.
It sounds good.
Yeah, it sounds good. Curtis Floyd, who was Executive Director of the Accreditation Council of Trinidad and Tobago. I am Ursula Charles Jr., and this has been ABS TV Presents. We thank you for joining us, whether on air or online. Enjoy what's left of your Thursday. Good night.